Welcome to our next installment at Home with Holland Home. I'm Michael Saliba Loafman, Vice President of Sales and Brand Marketing here at Holland Home, and I'm thrilled to be joined by Jack and Carolyn Fleetstra, new residents at Raybrook Estates 2. So we're going to get into the conversation with them. If you have questions, type them into the Q&A box, and we'll just get started. I'm going to take this down, the picture, so you can see them. And all right. So again, welcome and thanks for doing this for us, Jack and Carolyn. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So give us a little bit about your background, profession, that kind of thing.
Lived in West Michigan all my life. I'm a retired registered nurse, and the last 21 years of my career, I worked for Holland Home in home care and administration. So we'll put that Holland Home connection out as full disclosure right away.
Yeah, that's great. That's an endorsement. So
Yes.
yeah. And what about you, Jack?
Yeah, I was born and grew up in Grand Rapids, Boston Square, Alger Heights area. My parents became missionaries when I was in second grade, and we moved to Nigeria for 8 years. Came back and then lived in Grand Rapids again. Went to high school here. Then I served an apprenticeship for tool and die making and became a journeyman tool and die maker. And that was about the time that everything got computerized. So I did a lot of CAD and CAM work and then some IT work as well during that time during my career. So
Awesome. Well, as people on the webinar can tell, you are on the younger side of maybe some of our typical move-ins. And just so our viewers understand, I did get permission to ask this question, but don't be calling my mother. What you can share your ages?
I'm 62, Jack is 65. And we're not the only 60 somethings here.
That's correct.
We have other friends who were helpful to us when we were making this decision, who moved in their 60s. So
yeah, that's great. That's great. So, Carolyn, you mentioned you used to work here 21 years, but what other exposure did you have to Holland Home?
we both had a lot of family exposure. My grandmother lived at DeVos, and then was served by Faith Hospice. My mom has been a resident at Breton Terrace for 16 years.
yeah.
And Jack, what about your
And
parents?
my folks both lived here through the whole continuum. They first moved into a condo at Breton, and they lived there until my mom passed away. My dad stayed in the condo for a little bit. Then he moved into the terrace. And then he went through assisted living and Faith Hospice. And so, yeah, we're very familiar with the whole continuum of care through here. So,
Right. Yeah, and it's been family members have told me, they've like both parents went through the system, and you're like one might be a fluke, that we got it right, but when you have multiple experiences where your folks, Jack, like they experienced the system the way it was designed to be experienced, right? The full
right.
continuum, and they had a
Right.
good experience. So Carolyn, you're a nurse, former employee. I kind of get, we have a lot of former employees live here, but I kind of get where you're coming from, and you have that probably medical lens that you're looking at a move like this, perhaps. But what about you, Jack? Like you have at home, shop. Tell us a little bit about your thought process of like coming into Raybrook.
Well, at first, it was probably a little more, how am I going to get my wood shop and things. I wasn't quite ready to give up on all of my hobbies that I enjoyed. And so we were able to move a lot of my woodworking equipment up north to our cabin. And then they have a beautiful, a nice wood shop here that I can do projects in. So it took me probably a little longer to
Mhm.
decide that I'd want to get rid of the things I had at home because it's a different style of living.
Yeah, certainly. So we hear a lot from prospective residents that the phrase is, "We're not ready yet. We're not ready yet." So I guess our question to you is, how did you know it was the right time to move?
Well, we knew for a long time that we needed to move. We had a two-story home that we lived in for 35 years. Um, I never thought we'd live there that long, I have to say, but we did. And and so we started looking for a one-story home or condo or something like that. And we like to travel, and that's part of one of our goals. And you know, everything that we considered needed either to be built from scratch, and we knew that would take a year, or needed a lot of renovation. And in both those cases, you have to be there all the time to make sure things are going the way you want. And so we just really didn't want to give up a whole year of our, active years of travel to babysit, some kind of a move or renovation. And then the more we talked about it, Jack's like, we joke about that he only likes to move every 35 years. So, um, we knew eventually always that Holland Home was going to be where we moved last. And then Jack said, I just think we should make that move now and skip the extra move in between. Because okay, moving is not a value added experience.
No, no,
And
no.
Michael, if you add 35 to 65, that's easy math. That's pretty old.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Um,
So
so
then, let me say, Michael, you started sending us apartments, and then, we had the time then to be really choosy.
yeah,
And so, you sent us a couple. It's like, no, 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 it's not the right time in our travel schedule, or I don't like that view or whatever. So then when the right apartment came, then that was the thing that made it the right time. It was the right apartment.
yeah. Well, and you could afford to be choosy because
Right.
you didn't
And
have.
I think even then, you're not 100% ready in your head, but the process of going through the renovation and downsizing your possessions and things like that, that by the time we were ready to move, like we were anxious to move, not ambivalent. We were very anxious to get moved in.
Yeah, anxious, like eager, not angry,
Eager.
not
Yes. Eager to move.
yeah,
Yeah, in a good
Yes.
way. Yeah.
Yes. Good point.
yeah. And so I think I know the answer to this. You've told us your ages, and we have condos at Raybrook. Why didn't you choose one of those instead of what you did and moving into the building?
Well, two things from my experience in home health, people who live in the apartment style units are able to stay in those to usually a much later age, because you don't have to ever walk outside if you don't want to. If you get to the point where you have any difficulty walking or you can't drive anymore, there's fitness center, there's doctor's office, grocery store, there's a restaurant. All those things are inside, and you don't even have to wait till the sidewalks are taken care of. So that's one thing. And then it helped us avoid another move. And we knew from moving Jack's dad from the Breton homes into the Breton Terrace, it's a short distance, but it's a whole nother move again. It is as much work as another move. It's another downsize. So our kids both live out of state. We wanted to manage that move ourselves and not expect them to come home and take care of us. And so we just said, let's make our next move our last move.
Yeah, that's great. So how did the financial advantage of moving in sooner versus later play into your thinking process?
I think it was just kind of a, you know, the prices of the apartments and condos go up as long, and so does your house, maybe, but it was a good time that the sale of our house was very simple. It sold very quickly. Um, so rather than do this twice and gamble on what you're gonna, if you have even if you didn't move into the Holland home, but you moved into a condo out in the community someplace, then there's no guarantees on that either. So we just decided, I mean, these are very nice and comfortable.
I think, the anxiety of that uncertainty is gone for me now. So I don't have to worry about what the financial situation is. And, the monthly outlay is not any more here than it was at home. And so it made a lot of sense for us financially. We're young enough to get our money's worth for a long
Right,
time,
right, right,
I think when you move in early, it's really a better deal financially.
right. Because you've spread that initial cost over many years as opposed
Hopefully.
to
Yep.
somebody
Right.
that might move in at, you know, late 80s or something.
Well,
So,
it's always a good time, but I think younger is better financially for
correct.
that reason.
Yep. Yeah. Um, and I know one of the things we talked about, since you're a former employee, we have a lot of former employees that live here.
We do. I've been surprised by how many people I knew some folks that I worked with were here, but a lot more. And Michael, there are people here who have worked in other retirement communities and they chose to retire here. That surprised me.
Yeah,
That's I think that speaks very highly of Holland Home and the system we have here.
yeah, I agree. I completely agree. And thanks for mentioning that. Yeah, it is not only employees, but people from other communities. So you've made this move at a younger age. What did your kids think about it?
So our kids were not surprised. Keep in mind, they've known the system as family for 18 years also. And me as an employee for that, for longer than that, they knew that that was always our eventual plan. Their spouses are less familiar with Holland Home because they're not from this area. So I would say their spouses were a little bit more surprised, but supportive anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, good. Then so that's good, right? You had support from the kids. What did your friends say when you said, "Hey, we're going to move to Holland Home"?
Our friends were shocked. In fact, with some of them, I knew like I'm a little anxious to tell you this because I know what your reaction's going to
She
be.
didn't tell them for quite a while.
I did. I
Yeah.
did. And, it's a good opportunity to talk about why it's a good fit for us.
Hmm.
And it might not be for everybody, but it is, some of them are looking at the same. They'll say, well, that's eventually going to be our plan too. So we'll look forward to having some of them join us at some point too.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, in something you said, Jack, when we spoke earlier, was about just how living here, like if you've gone away, you mentioned you like traveling and you go away and you come back. Now that you come back to Raybrook, you have a whole different feeling about coming home, and you've referred to Raybrook as it already feels like home. So you tell me, share with our viewers a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, when we're traveling or we've been up to the cabin or whatever, and we come here, I mean, I don't have to worry about the grass or the paint peeling on the shutters or what, just anything like that. I told you before, it's kind of like coming to a home to a hotel because
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I don't have to, I just can come back home and relax and, putter and do some things but
You do the things you want to do and not the
yeah,
things you
and
have to do.
so things don't bother me that I'm looking outside going, oh man, that needs to get fixed and that needs to be painted it's just very comfortable.
We used
Yeah.
to feel like we were coming home to take care of the house because
Oh,
we, go away on a camping trip for a month or whatever, and we'd come home and you can pay somebody else to cut the grass and, plow the driveway and stuff like that. But nobody will weed for you, right? And we'd come home and the weeds are, you can't see it, this tall.
uh-huh.
Like this house looks abandoned, and that really was,
Yeah.
that really bothered me.
Yeah.
So that is gone. So easy to come home now.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and we hear that from new residents where they said, we didn't realize how much we worried about our house, how much effort it took until we didn't have to do it anymore. And it's
Right.
exactly what you said, Carolyn. You have time to do the things you want to do, not the things you have to do. So,
Right.
um, so you had the luxury of like you were offered some places that just weren't the right fit here. You didn't maybe like the view or location, and so you had the time to be choosy.
Yes.
Um, and so then you've settled on this apartment and you've decided for it. And how did that remodeling process go?
Oh, that is so easy. And so keep in mind, we had our house built 35 years ago. And then we did a major remodeling about halfway through. So in both of those instances, we felt like we had to be there every day. So now, there's an intensive process up front to figure out what we want and to document it all. We had a great renovations coordinator in Melissa. She is just, I can't say enough good about her. And so if there was something she needed to ask us, she would, but we didn't have to be here very often at all. In fact, we went away for a month at a time twice during the remodeling process.
Mhm.
So, and we had a lot done. I mean, you can just do the paint and flooring, but we had some walls changed and we added some cabinets and changed the electrical. I mean, and it was easy, easy, easy.
That's great. Yeah.
How did,
Right. No, I think it went very smoothly and yeah, we had the document for the thing was like 23 pages long.
For the
So I mean,
renovations?
for the renovations. So I
Yeah.
mean, it was it was very detailed. So
Mhm.
it wasn't like I had to worry about, it was already detailed that we wanted an electrical outlet on this wall and this far from the floor or whatever.
Yeah.
So it was done very well.
That's great. Um, so you've been here a few months. Um, how's it going? And any surprises?
I think it's going great. I don't know. Surprises, it's just getting used to it. It's a whole different way of life. So
Right.
everybody's really friendly. There's a
yeah,
lot to do. Um, we, we like the fitness center, like that there's a pool. So we actually, okay, surprise is that I actually walk a lot more here than I did at home,
Oh,
like by twice as much. So I mean, it's a choice, but that's good for me.
yeah.
So
That's awesome.
Um, I think another surprise, I was worried about storage, and there's plenty. The storage is generous. I did, get rid of things, but I found that I did not get rid of anything that I needed or wanted.
Oh, that's
It's all
great.
stuff that I was just saving for another day, and so I blessed
Yeah.
somebody else with that or threw it away, which
Yeah.
probably would have done before. But I don't feel like we settled. I
Well,
think,
I love that.
I mean, our apartment is beautiful, and when I walk in, I'm excited about it. I don't feel like I settled for something that I wasn't happy with.
Mhm.
It
right.
really feels, like an upgrade from.
No, it's very, very comfortable. It's plenty of space for the two of us, and then we had the daughter and the grandkids over a weekend ago, and we all fit in here no problem in the guest room, and
Mhm.
Yeah, we
it's
have
worked out
a
really well.
guest room that's an office most of the time, and it has a Murphy bed that you know changes into a guest bed, and they were very comfortable. It looked just like a bedroom while they were here, and it doesn't look like a bedroom any other time. So
Yeah,
there's some great solutions here. That
Yeah.
was really fun to design.
that's awesome. Do you have Anything else that you'd like to add before we open it up for questions?
No,
I don't think so.
I think,
Okay, great. Well, I see we do have a few questions in here. Um, oh, can you share what some of your current goals are and how your goals may have changed as a result of your move to Holland Home?
Um, so one of the things that we wanted to do when we retired early was travel and travel for long periods of time. So we before went a month, 2 months at a time. We're gonna try being gone 5 or 6 months over the winter. Kind of do a camping loop south and around. And so our goals were to get to as many of the national parks as we can. I'm not
So,
sure how we'll do
yeah.
with that. But I feel like we are more hopeful about reaching those goals than we were before. So that's probably a
Okay,
change.
sure.
Yeah.
And to do more volunteer work.
Yeah.
That's something and that's real easy to do here.
Mhm.
So
Well, and your time has been freed up, right? You don't,
yes,
Yeah.
you like talked about like you're going away. Do I shut the water off or do I not shut the water off? Do I,
right,
all those things that you had to do before, you don't really have to. So,
right. And all the cleanup when you get home of
yeah,
things you didn't do.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't realize how much time I spent, like you said, maintaining the house and the yard. It's a
Mhm.
lot.
Yeah. Jack, anything you want to add to what your lovely wife said?
No, I think, yeah, the same thing. Our goals were to travel, and it's made that easier yet to
Okay,
to do that now. So,
that's great.
Keeping in mind that our kids live out of state. So a lot of our travel is to go to see them and,
Mhm.
stay by them for a while. So um, we've been able to do a lot more of that this year.
right.
Yeah, good. Um, where do Carolyn and her husband live at Holland Home? I think we've
We
talked about
live
that.
in Raybrook Estates too.
Okay. Yeah.
And yeah, we have a lovely unit and anyone can come see it.
Okay.
Watch Michael.
Have there been any downsides for you? Can you speak to the process of making new friends? Or are you keeping up with your existing parenthetical old, well, existing friends?
Yes. All of our friends have come to visit us here. So, and
Yeah, pretty much.
we
Yeah.
really have kept our same social circles before, except we are meeting new friends too. So, and you can be as involved or not as you want to be in that process. So I think you could move in and keep your old friends and never get connected here. But I think it's much richer if you can do both.
Right. Yeah.
I think that's a benefit of coming in early too, is that you do get more plugged in around here
Hmm.
over time, that you just get to know everybody. Because right now I have to go home and write on my little notepad who I met that day. Because I mean, I might run into 20 different people in a day, and it's like I can't remember everybody's name. So
Hmm.
but we do wear some name tags, which is good.
That's good. Yeah. Um, this next question. Okay, here comes the big question. All right. Why
All
did
right,
you choose
everybody.
Raybrook over Breton?
Why Raybrook over Breton? We like the proximity to Calvin College
Mhm.
for one thing, and we just like the restaurants and shopping around here. When we first got married, we lived in Alger Heights, and so in some ways, those 35 years we lived in Hudsonville, but it felt kind of like we were coming home here. So
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
that's it.
This was kind of our old stomping ground, mine for sure, because I grew up in Elder Heights area, and
Okay.
Yeah.
this was always, and yeah, there's a lot to do. You're so close to everything here. I mean, we start counting grocery stores, and there's like 5 or 6 of them within 5 miles. So,
Yeah.
it's very convenient.
Yeah.
Convenient.
For
But
sure.
both, my mom and Jack's parents lived or live at Breton, and that's a great neighborhood too. That was their choice and they love that more. So I think
Yeah.
Both are good options.
Well, and they're 3.5 miles apart. So,
Right.
you can, they both they have a different feel to them, and it's great.
Right.
I love that we have options for people. So,
Right. Again, that home health nurse background, I was also thinking in my head, what happens when I am here and can't drive anymore? I still want to be able to do as much as I can. And I felt like I could do a lot here, even if we weren't driving anymore.
yeah,
And I think that's true at Breton too, but that was another thing that played in my head.
sure.
And also when you age and one of you ends up in assisted or you're always inside
Yeah,
to go visit, you don't have to leave to go outside and go walk through the
That's true.
snow
yeah,
to go visit, if that ever happens. So
right.
again, that's Carolyn's home health and
And
experience there,
your experience with your mom
Yeah,
too.
my
They were
dad,
Yeah,
separated.
right.
my mom was in nursing. My dad would get all bundled up and walk over to Breton, care over there.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
Yeah,
no, that was all part of moving in here.
sure. Well, and because you moved in here, you didn't have to spend all this money on retrofitting your home to try to age
Right.
there, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Exactly.
um, the next question, we often hear moving into a senior living will make me grow older quicker. Being as young as you are, can you speak to that a little? Do you find it hard to find people to relate to, spend time with?
That it'll make me grow quicker. Well, we've only been here 2 months, so, but that's not been my experience in home health. Um, because I saw people when I was in the field, as a nurse, I saw people both in their own homes and in retirement communities, Holland Home and others like Holland Home. And the people that are in the retirement communities tend to be more active, especially over the winter. They have longer to walk. They have social, an ability to connect socially with other people. And they tend to, I don't know if it's statistically accurate, but it seems like they tend to live longer and are certainly active longer.
Mhm.
So we have a lot more ability to be active here than we did at home because we've got a fitness center and a pool right in the building.
Mhm.
So my intent is to be younger longer because I'm here.
Mhm.
And I think,
Yeah. And, making friends with people that are older than you or your same age, it doesn't make any difference. I mean, everybody has a life story that's very interesting to share with. So
and we've always had friends that were a variety of ages. We have friends that are younger than us. We have many friends that are 20 years older than us that don't live here. I mean, so that's not new for us.
Yeah. Well, there's a richness to that. So I think
Absolutely.
yeah,
so.
definitely.
Um, do you have a camper and where do you store it?
We do have a camper and we store it in our barn up north.
Okay.
Before we stored it next to our home, so we had to make room for it up north.
Okay.
But we have friends that are in a similar situation and they store it in a lovely indoor storage facility in Grand Rapids. So we could have done that too.
Yeah, lots of options. So,
Yep.
how long from the time you decided to move until you moved into Raybrook?
It was a year and a half.
Okay. Yeah. And probably about 5 months, maybe once you picked the apartment, was probably 5 months-ish, right?
Yes.
Once you found the
Almost,
specific
almost,
apartment.
okay, almost 6, but it crossed over Thanksgiving and Christmas, which
Yeah, that adds to the time.
adds a little
Yeah.
bit. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So we've already disclosed Carolyn's a former employee.
Yep.
Former employees get a priority on the wait list. It's our only benefit of residency. We don't get any discounts. They had to pay a waitlist fee just like everybody else, but that's the one, if you have certain number of years of service here, you do get priority on the wait list, so which is nice. Do you get enough fresh air?
Oh, yes. We're outside all the time.
Yeah, the balcony is very convenient and large, I think, for an apartment style living, and then we have windows on either side, so
Yeah.
we can get as much fresh air as we want. So
Yeah. Yeah, the your floor plan, you've got two sliders in the living room, so
Yes.
and then you're at Raybrook, so they're bay windows, which give a lot of air.
And Jack likes to grill. So he has an electric grill out on the balcony. So he's out there almost every evening
Yeah, that's
grilling and having fun with that.
yeah,
that's the
I'm getting
goal.
used to it. I used to have a charcoal grill. That's up north now. So
Okay, all right. Yeah, electric grills are fine. So,
yes, yeah,
um,
Electric, it's legal.
yeah,
just get used to it a little bit. So it's a little different.
yeah. Is your car in a carport or a garage?
It's in Estates 2 has underground garage, so it's in there. And that is so nice because it does not freeze in the winter.
Yeah, yeah.
That is part of the reason we get more steps though, because it's a little bit of height down to the car.
Well, okay, so yes, but we are in the far end of the building.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
you're about as far.
we chose that.
Yeah, yeah. You're about as far away from the garage as you can get at Estates too.
Right.
So,
Yeah, and we all wear these watches that count our steps, so it's like we're always complaining we don't get steps, so
We
yeah,
don't have a problem anymore.
yeah, we get them
yeah,
now.
that's awesome. I am not seeing any other questions. So unless I see something pop in here, um, I can't thank you both enough for agreeing to do this for us. I think it's going to be very helpful to people that feel like maybe they're too young or they're not ready yet. But I think some of the process you went in, and it's kind of nice to be able to kind of think about or hear from you about how that mental process went. Um, and I would say, and again, we've worked together, we've been friends and colleagues a long time, but I think the fact that, a nurse and former employee, you're deciding to do this carries a lot of weight, I think. We all want to age at home. It just depends on where that home is. And so
I
being
was going to
here.
say we are aging at home.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
So, well, if there's no other questions, I'm going to thank Jack and Carolyn for doing this for us. Stay tuned for future webinars and for our events in July. But until then, this has been At Home with Holland Home. I'm Michael Loafman, and I hope you all have an awesome day. Take care.